Welcome to Life Lessons from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are beginning the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is a milestone for the Life Lessons from Srimad Bhagavatam community. Very exciting moment for all of us. So we are live on Instagram, we're live on YouTube and on Facebook as well. I'll chant some verses of invocation. As you arrive, please do say hello in the chat. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 17. Shridvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto Hyabadrani Vidhunoti Suhritsatam. Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, Supersoul, in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotees who have developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 18. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Chapter 3, Verse 40. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Dishre Yashraya Lokasya Nanyam Stvasthyaya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. 1.3.41. Tad idam grahayam asha sutam atmatvatam varam sarva veditihasanam sharam sharam samudritam. Shri Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who is the most respected among the self-realized, after extracting the cream of all Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. Last verse. Verse 43. Krishna Swadharma Bhagate Dharma Janadi Bitsaha Kalo Nastatrisam Esha Puranarko Donudita. This Bhagavata Purana is as brilliant as the sun. It has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Welcome, those of you who have joined us online. We have Gaurachandra with us from Christchurch, New Zealand. Gaurachandra says, Hari Bol Prabhuji, Dandavats. Welcome, Gaurachandra. Sri Gandharvika, my wife, joins us from New York City, which is also where I am. Sri Gandharvika says, Hari Bol. Welcome, Sri Gandharvika. On Instagram, we are joined by, let's see, lots of people logged in. Let's see if someone says hello. We have Conan, Chon Fo says, Hari Hari, with some gratitude. We have Champion Narendra, who says, Radhe Radhe. We have Love You Kanha, who says Hare Krishna and sends gratitude. Thank you all for joining us. Great to have you here as we discuss the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'm just noticing that my screen is going in and out of focus sometimes. So let me see if I can adjust that. Does this help if I make this adjustment? It does look sharper now, I think. So I think this is better. Probably better. Shoma Manjari joins us from South Africa. Shoma Manjari says, Hare Krishna, Sri Prahlad Prabhuji. Welcome, Shoma Manjari. Let's begin our discussion on the first chapter of the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. First chapter, and we'll cover all the verses in this chapter. So it's verses 1 through to 24. And we can begin with a reflection, as a reflection that I have from Prabhupada's pastimes, where he's sitting in the garden in Vrindavan, the garden by his house that you can still visit, Krishna Balaram Mandir. And he looks at his disciples and he says, all of this, initially I couldn't understand, but now I understand. It was Krishna's desire that I come to India and I start the mission here in India. There had been some troubles in America and Prabhupada had to leave. And he said that he had gone before Rukmini Dwarkadish in Los Angeles and he had prayed, Krishna, why are you making me leave? Everything is going so nicely here in America with our International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Temples are opening, devotees are joining, books are being distributed. But for some reason, you're forcing me to leave. And why? Why are you doing this? And then Prabhupada said, now I understand. Krishna wanted me to start the India mission and projects like Juhu and Krishna Balaram Mandir and so many other wonderful projects were emerging on account of that. And so it's not always possible for us to understand Krishna's plan, what Krishna's intention is, but we need to have that trust and faith, and we're going to explore that some more in our class today. Once again, we're discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 1, verses 1 through to 24. That's the complete chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We will discuss this chapter under 3 headings. 1. Krishna's will, verses 1 through to 9. 2. The curse of the sages, verses 10 to 16. And 3. The iron club, verses 17 to 24. Sukadeva Goswami begins this chapter by telling Parikshit Maharaj and telling all of us through Parikshit Maharaj how Krishna had orchestrated the Kurukshetra battle between the Kurus and Pandavas, and through doing this, he had removed to a great extent the burden of the earth. If you remember, there's some bookending in the first chapter of the 10th canto, and in the 19th chapter, there is a reference to the demons, the sons of Diti, invading the earth, posing in the guise of royal families, in the guise of the royal order. And so here at the beginning of the 11th, they're being mentioned again. And how Krishna had appeared with the mission to remove this burden. And Sukadeva Goswami says, to a great extent, this had been fulfilled at this stage. But he wasn't yet satisfied. And this was because of the continued presence of the undefeatable Yadhus, who were his own family. That is, the demigods had also been instructed by Vishnu to appear on earth, and they had appeared in the Yadu family, the Vrishni family, to help Krishna in his mission. And now Krishna is concerned about leaving the demigods on earth because they will be an indomitable power, and they may take over the earth, so to speak. They, of course, they have their role administering the different aspects of the universe. But the earth is for jiva souls like you and I, not qualified for heaven, but not demons either, sent to reside in the lower regions. This is called karma bhumi, the place where we perform activities that give us the results that send us either to the higher or lower regions. And so Krishna is now he desires to orchestrate the destruction of the Yadu dynasty so that he can completely wind up his pastimes. And in order to achieve this, he arranges the pretense of a curse by an assembly of brahmanas. So that's how Sukadeva Goswami introduces this chapter or the pastime that's about to be described. We can pause here and reflect. We can just reflect on Krishna's plan, and that we sometimes won't understand, but we should trust. Krishna orchestrated the Kurukshetra battle, and now he's orchestrating the withdrawal of his dynasty. And as we see this through the lens of the Bhagavatam, we can learn to accept and trust Krishna's divine plan. We can trust that in life, every action that we experience as Krishna's devotees is part of Krishna's bigger, higher purpose. And so when change is imposed upon us, when challenges are put before us, as we perform our duties, as we undertake our lives, hopefully leading closer and closer towards Krishna day by day, as we face these challenges, we can just accept this is Krishna's plan. And rather than resisting, we seek to flow with it, align ourselves with Krishna's plan. And that's how we can pass through the difficulties and struggles of life, because difficulty will be there. That's natural. When we resist it, that's actually when we experience more suffering. And so pain plus resistance is where we experience suffering. Pain is a natural part of material existence. Resistance is something that is actually within our capacity to control. We may not be able to control the pain, but how we react to the pain, that resistance to the pain, that is within our control. And so rather than resisting, we can seek to accept Krishna's plan, trust in Krishna's plan, trust that Krishna is our Suhrit, that he is our dear friend. Suhrit Sudurlabha. Prabhupada, he loved this particular verse from the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Bhaktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhrida Sarvabhutanam Yatvamam Kshantim Richati. Krishna says, one who knows that I am the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifice, that I am the Lord of all planets and demigods, that I am the dear friend of all living beings. Such a person will not experience difficulty, but will instead find peace. So Prabhupada would describe this as the peace formula. The peace formula. Know that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifice. He is the one who gives the results of sacrifice as well. He is the Lord of all planets and demigods, and he is our dear friend. Let's go to the next section then. This is where the story of the curse begins. Once, a group of sages that included Vishvamitra, Durvasa Muni, Bhrigu Muni, Kashyapa, Vamadev, Vashishta, these are all big names in the Vedic universe, Narada Muni, and others were performing sacrifices that would award great results, that would bring great happiness and take away the sins of Kali Yuga for the whole world. You can see what a benefic sacrifice these sages are performing. They're performing sacrifice for the benefit of the whole world, particularly to take away the sins of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga hasn't even begun yet, and the sages are performing this sacrifice. What's very interesting is where this sacrifice is being performed. It's being performed at the house of Krishna's father, Vasudeva. So Vasudeva is the sponsor of the sacrifice for the benefit of all living beings. Once they completed their sacrifice, then Krishna, he bid the sages farewell. So he sent them on their way at the conclusion of the ceremonies, and the sages went to a holy place called Pindaraka. This is not too far from Dwaraka. And so some young Yadu boys or men, at this stage we would say they are men, because earlier in the Bhagavatam we have read how Samba is married. He married the daughter of Duryodhana, if you remember that pastime. Her name is Lakshmana, caused some trouble. Balaram had to lead a delegation of senior Yadus to try to calm down the tension that was there between the Kurus and Yadus. So this is before the Kurukshetra war. Samba got married to Lakshmana, and now Samba appears again. He is the daughter of Jambavati, the daughter he's the son of Jambavati, who's the daughter of Jambavan, the same Jambavan from the Ramayana. So Shamba is with his friends, and they decide to dress Shamba up as a woman. They dress him up in a sari, female clothes, and they go before the sages. They touch the sages' feet, and with false humility, they say to the sages, "O learned Brahmanas, this black-eyed pregnant woman has a question to ask you, but she's too embarrassed, too shy to ask for herself. She is about to give birth and is very, very curious to know if she will have a boy or a girl. Can you please tell us? What will be the sex of this child?" So the sages, they're being mocked by this deceit of the young Yadus, and they became angry. Samba dressed as a girl, she has a big belly, maybe some pillow or something there in the place of an actual child. The sages, they can see through this deceit because they are very wise. And they say to the boys, "You fools, she will bear an iron club that will be the destruction of the entire Yadu dynasty." So we can pause here and we can reflect briefly. I think the lesson for us here is ridiculing sages is not wise. And it shows a disrespect. The sages have been performing sacrifice to bring auspiciousness to all people, to reduce the sins of Kali Yuga, to bring happiness for all beings. And these boys are mocking them. Because the sages are known to be wise, they're able to see the future. And the boys are mocking this by saying, "This girl is pregnant, will it be a boy or a girl?" And so this disrespect has led to a very severe curse that foretells the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. And so there is a lesson for us. Treating wise and learned people with honor and humility is our way of interacting with them. Their blessings and their curses can have a significant impact on our lives. The sages have the ability to bless. They also have the ability to curse. And one of the dynamics here is their commitment to truth. A sage, a sadhu, a brahmana, and they're very committed to truth. Truth being one of the pillars of dharma. So they only speak words that are true. And so when a sage gives a blessing, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you receive Krishna's grace, then the universe itself responds, Krishna himself responds by making those words true. That person who is so blessed becomes happy, healthy, that they come to the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. In the same way, if the sage utters a curse, because of their commitment to Dharma and to truth, then here also the universe will respond by arranging that that curse also comes to fruition. So there is great potency in sacrifice and austerity, and the sage's commitment to only ever speak truth. It goes two ways. As they commit to truth, truth also commits to them. It also applies to you and I. As we commit to truth, to only speak truth, then truth will also commit to us in such that our words will come true. Now we should only seek to speak blessings. We shouldn't speak curses. But here the sages, they are wise, they are learned, they are great personalities. Their curses are also divine arrangements. We see in the case of Narada Muni, he cursed Nalakuvera and Manigriva, and by the grace of that curse, they received the blessings of Damodar Krishna. So here, their curse is also Krishna's will, part of Krishna's plan. And so they have cursed the Yadu boys. You will give birth to an iron pillar. Let's continue, verses 17 to 24. The iron club. I said iron pillar, iron club. The Yadus, they were very afraid hearing this curse, and they lifted the garment from Shambha's belly, and indeed there was a iron club there. So they rushed to the assembly of Maharaj Ugrasena, the king of the Yadus, and they told him at the assembly everything that had transpired. Ugrasena Maharaj was very concerned. He took this very seriously, and he had the club ground down into iron dust, so like a powder, and then personally took that powder and on a boat and had it distributed within the waters of the ocean. If you remember, Dwarka is an island surrounded by the seawater, and so he had the iron club distributed in the water. There was a small piece that wasn't fully ground down that was also thrown into the ocean. Sukadev Goswami says that in the ocean, a fish swallowed that remaining piece of iron, and the waves carried all the bits of ground powder to the shore, where they were implanted and eventually grew into a grove of canes. So this isn't normal, that iron dust will grow into bamboo cane, but this is Krishna's arrangement. The dust, those small pieces of dust, they become like seeds, and they grow as reeds along the ocean shore. A fisherman caught the fish that had swallowed the last remaining bit of iron, and a hunter named Jara received that last remaining bit of iron, and he used it to fashion an arrowhead. So we're going to find out in subsequent chapters what happens with those reeds and what happens with that arrowhead. But we'll see it brings about the eventual destruction of the Yadhus. Sukadeva Goswami concludes by saying, although Krishna, the Supersoul, present in the hearts of all living beings, understood what was taking place, he did not wish to do anything to counteract it. Rather, in his form of time, he sanctioned all these events. So we can pause here and reflect on this story of the Iron Club. It's a club of chastisement, and it illustrates how destiny unfolds despite our efforts to alter its course. The Yadhus have tried to prevent the curse by destroying this club, but the prophecy has been foretold by the sages, and it will be fulfilled in unexpected ways. And we see here that although Krishna is aware of these events, he's not doing anything to stop it. He's not interfering. He's accepting the flow of time and destiny. And so we can learn from this as well, that while we might try to control our fate, we have to accept the consequences of our actions performed in past, and those that we are performing now, they form our destiny. And so embracing the inevitable flow of destiny and understanding the repercussions of our actions helps us to face life challenges with resilience and with a sense of peace and serenity. We must recognize that some outcomes are beyond our intervention, our capability to intervene. Birth, disease, old age, and death, they are inevitable. We might be able to mitigate symptoms or delay for a period of time, but in the end, we all have to face these things as inevitable, as part of life. So we can conclude with a prayer. Beloved Krishna, O Krishna, orchestrator of destiny and master of divine will, we stand in awe of your infinite wisdom. Teach us to trust and accept your grand design, knowing that every action and event serves a higher purpose, as demonstrated in the Kurukshetra battle. Let us embrace change and face our challenges with detached hearts, aligning ourselves with your celestial plan for peace and fulfillment. Please grant us the humility to honor and revere the wise, those bearers of spiritual insight. May we never forget the lesson of the Yadu boys, whose irreverence brought forth a curse. Help us to treat the learned with respect and humility, recognizing the profound impact of their blessings and curses on our lives. As we navigate the currents of destiny, like the tail of the Iron Club, remind us to accept the consequences of our actions. Teach us resilience and serenity in the face of inevitable outcomes, understanding that some events are beyond our control and part of your divine orchestration. In accepting this, may we find peace and strength in your divine will. So we will conclude there. Let me acknowledge some of you joined as I started speaking. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or comments, reflections, type those in the chat and we can explore further. So Kirtida is with us from Norway. Kirtida sends gratitude. Thanks for being here, Kirtida. Ananda Kirtan is with us from Sydney, Australia. Welcome, Ananda Kirtan, who says, Hare Krishna. Janava Mata is with us from Dunedin in the South Island of New Zealand, the bottom of the earth. Janava Mata says, Gaura Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. All glories to the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Janava Mata has a comment or a question. Hare Krishna Prabhu, great to be back drinking this sweet nectar. Is it right to accept our mistakes as part of Krishna's plan? especially if we learn valuable lessons from them? Great question. Yeah, very good question. So I think, yeah, I think it could work both ways, Janavamata. That's my sense. It's a really good question. Sometimes we will, I think most of the time, my mistakes are on me. It's my conditioned nature. And to make mistakes is part of the human condition. Prabhupada would explain the 6 defects of the, 4 defects of the conditioned soul. We're subject to illusion, we have imperfect senses, we have a tendency to cheat, and there is a tendency to make mistakes. It's just part of what it means to be a conditioned soul. Sometimes there might be certain events that are part of Krishna's plan, that we say something that puts us in a certain situation, and initially we're quite confused and disturbed, but later on we look back and say, no, actually that was Krishna's arrangement. There's some purification here. Sometimes Krishna is using our karmic destiny. So he uses the mechanism of our karmic destiny, of our conditioning and where we are and who we are. But he changes the parameters for what outcomes should be. Just to the extent that we will get our important lesson and instruction and purification. So it looks like karma, and it appears to be that cause and effect flow of karma. And so we can see how we are responsible for what's taking place. But entwined within it, at a higher level, is Krishna's mercy. And we say, this was Krishna's arrangement. This is Krishna's mercy upon me. So the end result is that it's Krishna's mercy, it's Krishna's arrangement. But he's using our karma as a kind of a structure in which to orchestrate certain arrangements for us, for our purification. So sometimes devotees would say, I think devotees learn this from Prabhupada, to say, I stubbed my toe, but I understand that this was Krishna's mercy. Maybe it should have been that my toe was cut off, or something much worse. But just to remind me of the nature of material existence, Krishna's just arranged for me to stub my toe instead. So we see how karma has been reduced by Krishna just to, but it's there. But it's not actual, for the devotee, it's not karma as such, it is Krishna's arrangement. So yeah, thank you for that, Janavamata. Rasa Stali's with us. Let's see here, I can't turn that comment on. Okay. Janavamata says, wonderful prayer. Thank you. Thank you, Janavamata. Shama Manjari says, beautiful prayer and class. Thank you, Prabhuji. Haribol. And Kirtidas says, beautiful class. Thank you. Thank you all. Let's see on chat here. Any comments that we can share? Okay, Con4 has a high 5 for us. Ritvik Yadav says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, good to see you again. Thank you. Yadav, that's a nice name that you have. We're reading today about the Yadhus. And so your name, Yadhav, indicates that your family are descended from the Yadhus. What a blessing that is. What good fortune. Prabhupada, he would talk often. When he was preaching, he would say, quote from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which says that if you are born in India, you are particularly blessed. You are blessed to be born in the land of Krishna, But with it also comes a great responsibility to practice Krishna consciousness and to share Krishna consciousness with the world. And so Prabhupada, he would speak this very often when he gave talks to the Indian community. That was one of his main verses to cite and the main point that he would try to drive home. So if you have the name Yadav, then your responsibility is even greater to share Krishna's glory with the world. So Yadav has a question. Do we still have to offer sacrifice to demigods? And the answer is no. The Bhagavatam makes very clear that when we offer our lives to Krishna, when we make offerings to Krishna, then all other responsibilities are fulfilled. The Bhagavatam compares sacrifices to the demigods to pouring water on the leaf of a tree. So when we pour water on the leaf of the tree, we're not really giving it much benefit. You might clean the leaf, but if you want to nourish the tree, you have to pour water on the root. And so when we offer sacrifice to Krishna, that is, according to Bhagavatam, watering the roots of the tree. When you water the root of the tree, then the leaves are also nourished automatically. So when you offer sacrifice to Krishna, automatically you fulfill any obligation that you have to the demigods, to the pitris, to the rishis, to there are pancha yagya, pancha mahayagya, 5 great yagyas that are to be performed. Bhagavatam says these pancha mahayagyas are fulfilled when we offer sacrifice to Krishna, to the demigods, to the rishis, to the forefathers, to human society, and to the wider Bhuta Yagya. Bhuta means all living beings. All living beings are also benefited when we engage in Harinam Sankirtan Yagya. So a good question, Yadav. Let's see. We have a comment from Chandan Gupta 883 who says Hare Krishna. Thanks for being here, Chandan. Mahi 6954 is also giving us a high five. Thank you for joining us. Code 4 says Hare Krishna, thank you. Deepak Pardasa says in Devanagari script, Radhe Radhe Krishna. And okay, so N. Rishikesh says, Hare Krishna Dandavats, how to conceive as parts of providence when misdeeds of others make mistakes, family, head, or elderly person cause inevitable pain to me. What could be the possible solution? So N. Rishikesh, thank you for your question. And let me start by saying that I'm sorry to hear of the struggles that you may experience. And so, yeah, sorry to hear of those struggles. Let me say that in every family, there are struggles, but in some families, those struggles may be greater than others. And so if that's the case in your family, then my compassion and my empathy is with you. And while we might want revenge, or we might feel bad on account of this, when we do so, we just cause a further entanglement and difficulty. So best is if we can forgive and let be. If it is some kind of legal injustice, we might seek legal recourse. But if it's some kind of insult, and sometimes just taking some distance for a period of time can heal a wound. We try to approach it again at a later time. How can we conceive it as part of Krishna's plan or the arrangement of providence. It's difficult to see in the immediate. Sometimes with hindsight, when we look back, then we see that there was some greater plan. And think about, for example, Ramachandra. So his family, Kaikeyi, she perpetuated some misdeed upon him. He was sent to the Dandak forest for 14 years, and it caused great pain, great suffering to many. What was the benefit of it? The benefit is that Brahmana was destroyed and the universe was made more peaceful on account of Ravana's destruction. So in the moment, it's not possible to see this. In hindsight, then you say, yes, actually, that was for the better. Even though there was so much disconcert and so much distress, it was for the better. Similarly, in the case of the Panch Pandavas, they were also put through much injustice. Dhritarashtra should have protected them from their cousin Duryodhana. Dhritarashtra didn't do his duty. But in the end, we see it was Krishna's desire that, or Krishna's will, that this take place, because it led to this confrontation at Kurukshetra, where the demoniac forces aligned with Duryodhana, and they were destroyed by the Pandavas, who had Krishna also by their side. Even on the Pandava side, those armies were destroyed. So it was Krishna's plan to remove Bhumi Devi of the burden of the unnecessary defense forces that had built up on earth due to a plan of the demons to colonize the earth. Difficult to see that in the moment, but in hindsight we know from Srimad Bhagavatam. So what is Krishna's plan in your situation? It's hard to say, and it may be hard for you to understand now, but maybe in the future, some years from now, you might look back and say, actually, that was for the best. It was difficult for me to understand, but now I see how there was some arrangement in all of this. So for that lesson, you might have to be patient. And maybe patience is one of the things that Krishna wants to teach you. To be patient. It is a virtue. And so to be patient, and in the meantime, you can ask Krishna, please reveal to me why this is happening. What is your plan in all of this? What is your lesson in all of this? What is it that you're trying to teach me and to show me? And in the meantime, and Rishikesh, our prayers are with you, that you can be at peace in this difficulty. Deepa Parasa says, thank you. You're most welcome, Deepa Parasa. Deepa Parasa is also written in Hindi. Mujhe bhi aapke sath bhakti karna Krishna ki ji ki. And yeah, unfortunately, I can't translate it. Something about our Krishna bhakti. So Deepa Parasa, maybe you want to write that question in English. Then we have NK Neji 96 says, I from India. Well, welcome, NK Neji 96. I'm grateful that you could join us. Deepa Parasa is clapping. Kukreja Sneha has joined us. Amrita Sinhana. And then Rishikesh says, yes, that's the ultimate patience. Thank you so much. Would like to have one-on-one conversation with you. And Rishikesh, you can send me a message and we can see what we can do. Otherwise, we have this discussion every Monday and Wednesday at 4 p.m. New York time. I know that's very early in India. I think it's like 2 a.m. or something like that. But thank you for joining us. All right. So Janamamata has a comment. I think I read the other day that the reason Krishna destroyed the entire Yadu dynasty was so that no one could claim that they were his descendants. Is that true? And then further comment from Janavamata. I also read somewhere in a purport in the Bhagavatam years ago, I think that King Yayati, that sometimes Krishna arranges for a devotee to fall down in order to teach them a particular lesson. Is that why we shouldn't judge or condemn? So, all right, so we'll respond to both of these comments. So that Krishna doesn't want that they will to claim that they are his descendants. Is that true? Not so much that they can claim that he's their descendants, but the idea that because I'm Krishna's descendant, therefore I'm God, and I should be worshipped. That's the problem. But it's not that the entire Yadu dynasty was destroyed. But so the bigger reason is that he doesn't want a powerful force remaining on earth after he withdraws his pastimes. But that's also a reason that sometimes a descendant of an exalted person, then they claim that they are also exalted and they have the same potency by descent. We see in India the Jati Goswami, those who claim to be guru on account of their birth in a particular family, whether in a family descended from Nityananda Prabhu or Advaita Prabhu, or even a disciple of the Goswamis of Vrindavan, a disciple of as a descendant of the Pujari, of the deity of one of the Goswamis of Vrindavan, then their descendants, they are understood to be guru just on account of their being born in that family as a descendant of the Goswamis Pujari. So to avoid this, it is also given as a reason why Krishna withdrew the Yadus from earth. And then as for Krishna arranging for devotees to fall down, to teach them a lesson, that's part of it. That's part of it. It's also written that the demigods sometimes entice exalted devotees and cause their fall down. Krishna mentions this to Uddhava in this 11th canto, so it's nearer to the end, but we will come upon it at some point. Krishna tells Uddhava that sometimes the demigods become afraid when they see an exalted devotee advanced in their spiritual practice. We see that in the stories with Indra. He causes Vishvamitra to fall down. He tests Nara and Narayana Rishi, or he tests in the 12th, in the 11th, also in this canto. Not this, no, the 12th canto. He tests a great rishi whose name is slipping from my mind, Markandeya. Markandeya is also tested in that way by Indra. So yes, sometimes the demigods, they test the devotee and try to cause them to fall down. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes not. Haridas Thakur, he was tested by Maya Devi. She was unsuccessful in enticing him. So this is that why we shouldn't judge? We shouldn't judge. It's not for us to judge. Every soul has their story. Every devotee is on a journey. And so it's not for us to judge. We should just appreciate anything that from millions and millions, billions of living entities, quadrillions of living entities, some show some inclination towards Krishna. Such a soul is very rare. Sarvasya chaham manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. Out of many millions of people, one may endeavor for perfection. Among those, hardly one knows about Krishna. And so those that are coming to Krishna, they are special. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha, they are very rare. So if there is some fault there, Why do we want to emphasize that? Why do we want to emphasize the black spot on the white sheet? Let's emphasize the white rather than the spot. Let the spot take care of itself, either in the immediate or in time. Let Krishna take care of it. Krishna can arrange some purification, some curse, some challenge, or whatever it may be, but that's between that devotee and Krishna. Why do we need to focus on the spot? The world is in need of devotees, so we shouldn't be looking out for each other's faults and driving each other away. Rather than we should be encouraging one another. Of course, if that fault is going to cause harm to others, then we might have a responsibility to our community to bring attention to it. But if it's between that person and their weakness, and we come to be aware of it, why should we be disturbed, or why should we want to agitate and make an issue of that? That's between that person and Krishna and Guru, and how they want to deal with it. If it's a close friend, you might raise it as a friend, but otherwise it's not for us. And why do we want to make a big issue of some small failing or weakness? Human frailty is there in all of us. Why do we want to make that the bigger focus? So yeah, I think it's not healthy to focus on weakness. Rather, we should focus on strength. Okay, and Kirtida here sending some emojis, some leaves, I think maybe tulsi leaves, and something else, and some gratitude as well. So let's see. Okay, so Deepak Pradasa says good night. And Rishikesh says, Deepa told you that she wants to do Krishna Bhakti. Okay, very good. Thank you. We will be there in Rishikesh in March. If that's where you are, I'm not sure. Your name is Rishikesh. And so we will conclude here. May you deepen may we all deepen in our appreciation for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam with attention. May we deepen in our appreciation of Krishna's appearing in the form of his holy name, as we take his name in kirtan and in japa. May we all deepen in our appreciation for holy places like Vrindavan, Mayapur, Dwaraka, Rishikesh, as well as where Krishna is served in any temple, large and small. May we deepen in our appreciation for serving Sri Vigraha, Krishna's appearance in the form of his deity. And may we deepen in our loving relationships with Vaishnavas. May we take every opportunity to appreciate and support and encourage Vaishnavas in their service and their advancement, in their deepening relationship with Krishna. May we have firm friendship with Vaishnavas who are of equal standing, compassion for those who are junior to us, and may we take every opportunity to learn from and serve Vaishnavas who are more advanced than us. And through these practices of bhakti, may our hearts soften with compassion that moves us to share the treasures of bhakti with others. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Prema